What is up, YouTube? Steam blockchain. So today I want to reflect on the authority problem in Swedish schools. So I am Swedish. I've been going to Swedish school around 10 years ago, so I sort of understand them. But I think this is a very interesting topic, to be honest. So I saw a Twitter tweet basically about this topic. And well, if we look at schools, for example, how they have sort of misunderstood memory for intelligence. So they have this format which was designed to create repetitive jobs, repetitive workers. So they only did memory-based tasks. And now humans have done this major mistake where they're only looking at memory as intelligence. So most of the school is just boring, it's not engaging. So you run into issues eventually, especially when it comes to authority. Because, I mean, one big problem in society is a lack of leaders, and a lack of leaders that actually has integrity. So it makes sense why people do not find it engaging with just memory-based stuff, especially 2019 when they have a smartphone that can do all the memory-based tasks, and they realize, well, I can just Google something and I can get the answer much faster. It's same as when I went to school, I sort of wondered, why are we doing this math thing when when I have a calculator in my smartphone? Why are we doing this repetitive thing? So I didn't find school engaging at all. I wanted to do my own sort of intelligent stuff and pay attention to sort of what I found fascinating. And just because the modern schools, you have um, you have more a mix of people coming from different places, then you're going to get people that have other stuff, that have bigger stuff in their life that they may be thinking about, and then you can get more problems arise, especially when you mix people super fast. And and this topic is kind of interesting because this topic of respect is pretty interesting, especially what we're doing with Steam blockchain, for example, where, I mean, if you look at this society overall, the real society, it's been running for a very, very long time on many systems that sort of lacks a lot of respect, where people are sort of breaking rules and they're breaking rules and they're breaking rules. Where with Proofabrain, with this new internet that we're trying to do, you're trying to create a level of respect again, especially when you add in the monetary layer. So people have a more experiential understanding of value. And Proofabrain is very interesting because it engages your intelligence, not just your memory. That means if you go out and do something in the world, if you can connect different pieces together, you become your own sort of school. You can do your own intelligent thing, and you can be rewarded for that in a global way. Compared to schools at the moment that mainly, they do run into these authority problems because, well, people observe all these systems in a global landscape now, especially when they have smartphones, and they see that a lot of authority is misusing their power basically all the time. So eventually, you basically need to move society away from authority is truth to truth is authority. So you're gonna have people that see a lot of stuff in their smartphone, and they're gonna compare different sources, and then they are gonna ask questions about authority. And I think there's a lot of passive aggressiveness happening on all sides, where you can sort of get this feedback loop of where there is no respect on any side, where we're almost trying to build a new school with blockchain solutions, where people sort of people have more of a people can be more prepared for a global identity where they're communicating with the whole world. So they sort of get a bigger understanding of the world, and they see the value from that and how it sort of can scale compared to the regular physical schools, which people sort of see that, well, am I actually going to be able to get a real job in the real world? Or am I just going to be discriminated against? Because I mean, that's a real thing that happens to people. So that so people become very suspicious of school, and when you crowd a lot of people together and you're trying to teach them the same stuff, and the teachers may not even many times know if it is actually truth, because they're only putting out memory. And just because people have smartphones now, they sort of want to think for themselves. Like, people really want to think for themselves now, and they have these smart devices that can sort of that can give them so much more interesting stuff. So people start to question stuff more, and I think that a lot of stuff that people see as big problems, a lot of that can probably be solved rather quick if you have if people just get more honest feedback or truthful stuff, because so much lies are basically mainstream in this world, and that creates a lot of passive aggressiveness, micro passive aggressiveness on all sides, where people are sort of looking for extreme sort of solutions, or they're almost looking for, they can almost not see a way out of it, so they almost have to look at extremes, and out of desperation people are doing a lot of stuff, and that's what you're seeing. And then you also have it that the media is sort of pushing stuff up, pushing people against each other, and they have sort of monetary incentive to do that. And a big problem is that most people do not have a currency. They don't have any inclusive currency that they can use in their smartphone. They may have some smartphones, but even that is still, as I talked about in another video, that is still kind of scarce because it's still pretty expensive. But as the costs go down, eventually you need really inclusive systems, and that's not something that we have had. Um, so people usually are trying to sort of look at it in a black and white way. Um, but yeah, it is very, very interesting. But yeah, so authority is going to be a thing that people are going to wonder about, especially now coming up in the future. So for example, who's going to control and dominate stuff? That's a big thing that people are going to wonder. And that's why you need basically all systems to be decentralized. You need Proofabrain. You need no nonsense systems. You need people to be able to evaluate for themselves about what they think about something, and be able to have a more experience of actually voting something. So you could take this, for example, with societies that people used to vote maybe once every 4 years or so. But almost with Proofabrain, it sort of becomes as a person is doing votes daily, and you basically speed up the whole process of both Proofabrain, but also voting, and you can faster see what can a potential leader be, who can create something that you yourself find engaging, and that is niche towards whatever now it is you want to learn. So in many ways, first of all, school is sort of going to change now, because within 5 to 10 years, AI is going to come big time. And just because school is mainly just based on memory, which means that the AI is going to basically make it so schools have to completely change where they're focusing more on intelligence dimensions. Now they're just doing memory, and you also have it so, I mean, people are doing their own schooling now in many ways, how they're sort of trying to understand things, and they see a lot of these systems that are exclusive in the world, that sort of exclude so many people, so they don't really have access. Where if you just make inclusive systems, a lot of stuff would work itself out rather quick. But it's that people have been sort of avoiding reality for a very, very long time. And then you run into these authority problems, or the people are starting to ask questions. People are going to ask many questions. And yeah, people do crazy stuff. But if people change their behavior, if they sort of have to transform themselves in many ways, that includes everyone, then if people transform themselves, become more inclusive, try to understand stuff more from all sides, then you can sort of get into a very, very interesting phase eventually. And I think that the proof of brain people on the Steam blockchain, that they're sort of on the right sort of path. They sort of understand somewhat where we sort of needs to go. And that's kind of cool. So yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. This is of course something that is globally also in other schools. But yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about it pretty quick. Have a great day, DTube and the Steam blockchain. Bye bye.